Okay, we are live here. I'm going to start in about 5 minutes. I am going to open the Q&A section just in case you want to hop on and let me know that you can hear me and that all is copacetic. I am very much looking forward to diving into all of this with you. We're going to be talking about how to pitch for radio interviews, podcast interviews, articles for guest blog opportunities, everything you need to know to get your name out there. It's going to be hopefully very useful and interesting and very rich in content and yeah, just not a lot of fluff. I want to keep it short and simple, and we will definitely have a good time. We will get you all the information that you need so that you can put yourself out there confidently. And yeah, I look forward to letting you know a little bit about who I am and what I have done in my career so that I can bring you this information, and we will just go from there. So we have about 3 more minutes until it's go time. I can probably not chatter on aimlessly for much longer, so I will just ask if you are here to just pop a comment in or not, whatever you prefer, and we'll start in about 3 minutes. So once again, you're tuning into the live webinar for learning how to pitch and share article ideas and interview pitches so that you can get your name out there and get more clients, more visibility, raise your platform. If you can hear me and see me, just let me know by popping a comment in the Q&A section. I'd love to just confirm that I am broadcasting out there, if you'd be willing. And we're going to start right at 2 o'clock, so we're kind of within 2 minutes. Okay, we're about 1 minute away, so we have a live feed going out, and the Q&A section is open, so pop a question in there or let me know that you can hear me, or if you're having any technical issues. I look forward to this going very smoothly, even though it's my very first webinar. What else? We're going to jump right in at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, and I very much look forward to sharing all this information with you and sharing this time with you, and I'm going to keep it as streamlined and as straightforward as I possibly can. And yeah, I look forward to us having a useful, informative, about 40 minutes together, and then I will open it up for any questions you may have. Okay. All right, so it is 2 p.m. Eastern time, and we are coming together for a webinar on pitching interviews, pitching guest posts, and really just efforting getting your name out there and getting you more visibility and more clients. So some technical details. I've enabled the comments, the Q&A feature. So chime in and let me know that you can hear me, or if you have any questions or technical difficulties. This, in the interest of transparency, is my very first webinar. So if you have a technical issue, I'm not sure I'll be able to assist with it, but I look forward to this going super smoothly. So this is what we're going to talk about. Here's an outline of what we're going to go over in this webinar. I want to get right to the content. So you're going to learn a little bit about me, but I'm just going to tell you the news that's fit to print. We're not going to go real deep there. In terms of content on pitching, you're going to learn the 3 stages of your pitch, which are how to find the right places to pitch, how to come up with ideas that will sell, and how to write your pitch so that it seals the deal. And a lot of what we talk about will pertain to both interviews and article pitches. But toward the end, when we talk about the real writing of the pitch, I'll be sure to differentiate between the article pitch and the interview pitch, because there's just a couple subtle differences. But we'll talk about those efforts separately. And then finally, at the end, right before I give you our 5 do's for pitching, in recap, we're going to talk about how you can get a free pitching strategy session with me. And we'll talk about, in those sessions, we can talk about how to find the right outlets for you, the right article ideas for you, and then how to write those pitches so that you get the coverage that you deserve. So that is just going to take a couple minutes, and it's not going to be very offer heavy. I just want to let you know about this opportunity. So first, let me tell you a little bit about myself so that you know that what I'm bringing to you is based off of experience. For about 12 years, I worked in public relations in a niche of PR called electronic publicity. And what we were tasked with doing was getting our clients on television or on the radio. So a client would come to us with their product, their message, and they'd also come to us with their spokesperson. And toward the end of my career, I was the editorial director at a firm. I had started out working much more in entertainment with celebrities. And let me tell you, pitching like Paul McCartney or Joan Rivers, easy. Pitching products and pitching like a pharmaceutical or consumer product, a lot more challenging. So a client would come to us with their message or their product, whether it's a new pharmaceutical or a new tissue brand or a new child's toy or a new breakfast sausage, whatever it was. They would come to us, and they would also say, we hired this spokesperson to deliver our message. So here, come up with a story that'll, get us coverage on Good Morning America or the local NBC4 affiliate. And that was my job as the editorial director of this firm. Literally on the spot, I would have to come up with ideas that would merge my client's message and their spokesperson with the media outlet's need for something useful, for useful content. So if it were a mommy expert who is talking about, the new Hungry Man breakfast, we could create a story that spoke to something like 5 ways to make your morning routine easier. And the Hungry Man message would be woven into that. And so that was my job, to come up with those story ideas. It wasn't until recently, about a year ago, well into my entrepreneurial efforts, that I realized that that skill of taking a message, pairing it with a spokesperson, and delivering that package to the media was exactly what entrepreneurs are tasked with doing, except their message is their business, their spokesperson is themselves, and the media is their niche media, whether online, in print, in interviews, what have you. So once I realized I had that kind of special little niche experience, I put that to work for my business. And over the course of just a few months, with some strategic articles and interviews, I have gotten amazing results. I've added probably about 600 to 800 people to my list in just a couple months with these strategic placements. So that's what I'm going to teach you how to do, is find the right places to pitch, find the right ideas to pitch, and then write that pitch so that you can get these placements and get your name out there and build your platform and credibility. That's another extremely important benefit to this work. So let's get to talking about pitching. Let me share my screen with you here. And this is, okay, start screen share. Okay, now I have to get to the right, oops. Okay. Okay, let me just check here. I want to make sure that you are seeing, yes, okay. All right, sorry, first time. Okay. All right, here we go. I will teach you how to pitch. All right, so first we're going to talk about the 3 stages of your pitch. The first is research, how to find the right outlets and interviewers to pitch. The second is how to come up with ideas and then turn those ideas into a story angle that sings in concert with your brand and the outlet that you're pitching, their mission in delivering that content to their audience. And then finally, we're going to talk about writing the pitch. How do you write a pitch that gets you the booking or gets you the article placement? So we're going to cover all 3 of these over the course of the next about 25 minutes. We're going to make it fast. I want to get you in and out. I know that your time is precious. Okay, so first order of business, finding the right outlets. Look at your favorite websites. What are your most favorite industry or niche specific websites or podcasts? What do you listen to? What do you read? What do you love? Now, keep in mind, you know, I'm a huge fan of Fresh Air from NPR. I know that I'm probably not going to get a booking on Fresh Air. So keep in mind what is what's gonna get you that booking, as opposed to you know, the dream niches, the dream websites. I got distracted because my little camera light went off, but I assume that's because I'm not on camera and the presentation is on camera, and I'm hoping that we're still broadcasting. Okay, I'm just gonna keep going here. Next, I want you to hit up the Google. Google, you really can Google anything here. Seriously, the best thing to Google, what are the best websites or what are the best podcasts for your industry, and fill in your industry. This totally works. I tried it with all different industries just to make sure. I tried it with best podcasts or best websites for writers, best websites for historians, best websites for mechanics. They all came back with information on the outlets in that industry. So it's a great way to find places to pitch. Next, stalk your idols. Look on the press page of the people you admire in your industry and see where they've been featured. This is actually an excellent tactic, and it's effective in sleuthing new outlets because a lot of times the research is done for you. You know that these outlets accept contributions because this person whose website you're looking at has contributed to them. So also the thing to do is, if you have a relationship with this person, you could potentially ask for an introduction. Then finally, identify your niches. Identify the other categories you fit into. This would be lifestyle categories, education categories, whether you're a member of a certain demographic, like you're a mommy, or if you are an alumni somewhere. Identify what other categories your message fits into and look for websites that cater to that niche. So the question to ask yourself here is, what has my personal or professional past enabled me to talk about? Or who has it enabled me to talk to? Okay, moving on. More about finding the right outlets. As your research continues and you look a little more directly at the websites and podcasts that you've culled from your initial research, you're going to want to figure out a couple of things. Number one, are they open? Figure out if your choice outlet takes guest contributors. So here are a few telltale signs that they take guest contributors. If it's a magazine style site, the posts are usually written by a host of different people. So you're going to want to look and see if the website has a lot of different contributors. Another thing to look at is their writer's guidelines. Look for writer's guidelines usually in the Contact Us tab of the website. So you can Google the website and Google writer's guidelines or submission guidelines. That usually will bring them up, and that will tell you what their policies are in taking contributions. Next, get familiar with the content. How familiar do you need to get? You really cannot get too familiar. You need to be familiar enough that you can reference recent contact, show you know the kind of material their audience likes. Like I said, you cannot go too far with this. You want to be an expert in that site's content. You can cut through a lot of the formality in pitching when you have a great knowledge of the site's content. And it also gives you a lot of confidence in putting forth your ideas because you are pretty sure that this is going to fly if you know what kind of content and what kind of tone they strike. Okay, and lastly, choose strategically. Look for outlets that syndicate their content. The reason why I want you to look for this is because we're really going for a very, we're not taking any shortcuts in this pitching effort. We're going for a very comprehensive effort here. So I want you to get the best bang for your buck in terms of this effort. So if you look for sites that syndicate their content, this means they have content partnerships with other entities. So your piece could find life beyond the original post. This is important, again, because we're going for it here. This is a no shortcuts pitching strategy. Your pitches are going to be high quality and are going to require a little bit of work and research. So incorporating into this research the bullet point of looking for sites that syndicate their content, we're going to maximize your efforts. You can figure out whether a site syndicates their content by looking at the bylines and seeing if they say originally published on a different site. So I write a lot for themuse.com, and they have content partnerships with other entities like Inc.com, like Mashable, like Business Insider. So you'll see in their catalog of content that those sites are referenced as sources for some of their material. So that's what you want to look for. Okay, so now we're on to ideas, coming up with pitchable ideas. Baseline ideas become more alive and more pitchable when they're specific. So turn your idea into something very specific topic-wise or niche-wise. We're going to talk a lot about this in this category of ideas. You can repurpose an idea from niche to niche. So you could talk about an article, you can write an article on time management and tailor it to mothers, or tailor it to the corporate world, or tailor it to city dwellers or commuters or whatever. You know, you can take whoever you speak to, whoever your audience is, you can look for ideas and come up with general ideas and then make them very specific to your audience. Look for relevancy. Look for something that's relevant to the specialty of the outlet. One of the micro niches that I write to is people in the corporate world who want to communicate better in the workplace, become their own advocates. So an example of something I made more relevant was an article on how to communicate your value in the workplace, but it was for a site that spoke to millennials. So I made it relevant by adding the article of, adding the angle of how to communicate your value and generate respect in the workplace if you've been in the same job since you graduated. Now, this also takes a trend, which we will talk about in the next bullet point, and kind of turns it on its ear, because the trend is that millennials stay in jobs for much fewer years than the general public. So I took this trend and addressed the flip side of the trend. What if you haven't moved jobs? Then this article is for you. So getting specific, making it relevant to the audience, and attaching it to a trend. Those are amazing points to hit when you're going for a pitch. Okay, so going back to trends and looking at timeliness, you want to pay attention to what's going on in your industry. What is going on in the larger conversation? There are certain things that happen every year at the same time. Back to school, holidays, if you're in the fashion world or in the entertainment world, award season comes around every year. If you're in the financial world, there's like quarterly endings. I'm not in the financial world. There's tax season. So pay attention to these markers, because even though it sounds cliche, these are things that are talked about perennially. So it could be a good opportunity to get in, and a lot of websites that cover trends like this will actually keep spaces open in their editorial calendars to fill in their back to school article or their whatever it is, their holiday themed articles. So this could be an opportunity for you to slide right in there. Then finally, you want your idea to be actionable. Offering an idea isn't enough. You have to show you can teach people to implement the idea into their lives. We always used to say in the corporate, in the PR world, in the broadcast, electronic publicity world, that tips and tricks are what sell broadcast interviews. And this is still true. So pay attention to the tone and the existing content on whatever site you're pitching. You don't want to pitch this kind of service-based piece if that's not what they do. If they do more of an essay type piece or a personal experience type piece, but service-based content on the sites that we're talking about by and large is what they are after. So think in terms of what kind of tips can I offer in order to serve my audience in this way. Okay, so let me give you an example, about 3 examples of pitchable ideas. So this again goes back to the idea of taking something general and tailoring it for the audience. The first idea, learn how to say no. This could be for a lot of different audiences, but it could appeal to the mommy audience and offer specific advice and insight for mommies that need to learn better how to set boundaries at home. Also works in workplace or corporate websites that appeal to a corporate audience. Learn how to set boundaries at work. And this idea probably even needs to be drilled down to something even more specific. It could be, how to set boundaries on overtime, or how to set boundaries or how to manage, I don't know, different ideas coming to mind that's really specific for the workplace, like how to have a conversation with someone about the interpersonal stuff at work, whether they are eating your lunch out of the fridge or taking tissues off your desk or whatever, how to have those awkward conversations. Another article idea, 3 steps for confronting your spouse. This could be for a relationship blog. And then one other idea, 5 things you're doing every day that are ruining your financial life. This is a good headline also because it uses that kind of extreme language, ruining. Those words get attention for all of the right reasons. Okay. Now, here's the meat. Here is how we are going to talk about how to write your pitch. We're going to go deeper into each of these, but here is the basic outline. Establish a connection. Shout outs, this could be via social media. And actually, I meant to mention, if you're watching this after the live broadcast, use social media to ask me any questions. I'm at Amanda Berlin. So on Twitter. So tweet at me and I will absolutely answer any questions you have at Amanda Berlin. Okay, that being said, establish a connection. Shout outs ahead of time before you even send your pitch, kind of let that entity know or let that person know that you're out there and that you're active on social media, which is important down the line because you also want to show that you can help promote your content, so that if you're active on social media, that's helpful. So shout outs, and when you send your email, use the editor's name. These let the editor know that they are seen. We're going to go into more of this in more detail in a moment. Okay, so the first step in this outline, establish a connection, then show up prepared, know the audience, know the back content of the site, and know the tone of the content. Next, open the kimono. Be free with your ideas. I do not like that expression, open the kimono, but it seemed appropriate for some reason. Be free with your ideas, show that you've thought them through. And finally, be confidently self-promotional. Show you've got the goods to deliver this material. Show why you are the perfect resource for this information. Okay, so now we're moving on to the actual, precise way. I'm going to give you kind of like a fill-in-the-blank pitch that we're going to go through in all of these steps. So first, establish a connection. To establish a connection, use their name. Do your research if it's not obvious. Figure out who edits the website. And second, make a match. Describe who you are in a way that shows you're relevant to their audience. Now, here's what this could look like in your pitch. Dear so-and-so, my name is blank. I am a blank who does blank with or for blank. Very simple. If you cannot find the name of an editor, research it until you can. There is no sir or madam in this context. There is no to whom it may concern. Sleuth it until you find it. Ask people. Do whatever you have to do. When you talk about what you do, here's where a really strong mission or vision for your brand comes in handy. And this takes a lot of work to codify. It takes a lot of work to put into one sentence what you do. So play around with this. I have a resource on my website called What Do You Do? So feel free to download that. It might help. And I also have a blog called How to Talk About What You Do. You can Google both of them, and I'll provide links in the replay of this class, but they might be helpful in whittling down, your big, long explanation of what you do to one sentence. So look for that. Also, one other thing I want to add about that, think back to the niches that you cultivated for yourself. If you're a mom, if you're an alumni, if you're pitching your alumni magazine or something like that, or if you're someone who is local or you're a member of an online community, you're going to want to make mention of that as well to show that you're relevant to the audience. You want to couch it in such a way that shows that the audience needs you as an expert. Okay, now we're on to show up prepared. This is the part where you show the audience, show you know the audience. Describe general themes you've noticed that the audience responds to. And show you know the work. More specifically, describe a post that resonated with you in particular. Now this can look a little bit like this. I really appreciate the work you're doing to bring information on the theme of their content to the audience who they're speaking to. So that could be something like, I really appreciate the work you're doing to bring information on nutrition for babies to moms in cities or something like that. And obviously, once you have done your research and read a lot of their content, you're going to know even more specifically, more intimately what they are, who and what they are speaking to. Then go a little bit deeper. This all needs to be very brief, but one other thing you can add to show that you've done your research is this sentence about the content specifically. In particular, the recent article or interview with the name of the article really resonated with me because I recently blah, blah, blah. This, again, can and should be very short and sweet, and it really only needs to be done when you're pitching cold. Once you've established a relationship, this is not really necessary. You can just cut to the chase and pop in your ideas and go from there. But to show that you get where they are, what they're saying, and who they're speaking to, this is a great, simple, effective, straightforward way to do it. Okay, now we're opening the kimono. It speaks to what we're doing here, even though it's not the best expression. Being free with the goods, all right? So you want to offer your piece. Simple and straightforward works best here. And I don't mean offer it in its entirety. I mean offer it in terms of saying, I would like to offer you this piece of content for your, we'll talk about exactly how to say it, but I do not mean, unless the submission guidelines say, send us your whole article, do not send the whole article. Then you're going to want to show you've thought it through. Be clear about the content your piece will offer. Now, I want to just give a note here. Be free with your ideas, okay? I know that it's a little bit cringeworthy to think I'm just going to give them my idea and then they're, who knows, they could do whatever with it. They could have someone else write it. Your ideas are limitless. And once you articulate an idea, you make room for the next idea to come in, and any reputable site is not going to steal your idea. This just shows that you are a thoughtful expert. You need to provide evidence that you have an idea. So it's unfortunately a necessary evil. You're going to have to share your ideas. Okay, so this is what this will look like. And this has two parts, one for article ideas and one for interview pitches. So just be aware of that. This first one is for articles. You can write something like this. I wanted to submit for your consideration the following idea. And then you want a good headline like that, 3 tips, 3 mistakes you're making right now that are ruining your financial life, something like that. And then you want to offer a couple of sentences that set up the piece, whether you're weighing in on a trend or pointing to a challenge facing that audience. Use the language you will use to start the piece. Now, one more comment about this. Again, we're going for kind of a no holds barred, aggressive pitching strategy here that's going to work. So unfortunately, you're going to almost have to write the article before pitching it to get really clear on what you're going to present and how you're going to present it. So, like I said, you're going to use the language you will use to start the piece in your pitch. And then before going any further than that, you can say, in this article, I will cover the following points. And then I would use the kind of the paragraph subheads that you might use in your actual article to detail the points. Now, if you said, I'm going to show you 7 ways to fix your life or to prevent financial ruin or something like that, then you're going to want to show you have 7 ideas, 7 points that it matches. It's just kind of intuitive. Okay, so now let's just talk quickly about offering an idea for interviews. Now, what's funny about this is exactly what we used to do, what I used to do in the broadcast media PR world. We would, like I was saying before, create the story for the entities that we were pitching. We would package it up, we would use the language that they would then sometimes read verbatim from our pitch to intro the spokesperson. And in our pitch, we would say, this spokesperson can cover the following topics. So that's what I want you to do when you're pitching for podcast interviews. I would love to be a guest on your show to talk about, and you can put your headline there. This can be your big message. This doesn't necessarily have to be as specific as an article idea, because you may not necessarily but you may not have repeat appearances on a podcast. You might be invited back. It's very possible. But you have this chance to talk about your big message. So that's what I would suggest. What is your big message headline? And then again, 3 to 5 talking points on what you can cover in that interview. Okay, now be confidently self-promotional. Provide evidence of your platform. Add links to any other such articles you've written. This shows evidence that you can write and that you've done this before. Tout your expertise. Here's where you can talk a little bit more about what makes you perfect to offer this information. And that could be, again, what makes you a valuable member of this niche and what makes you an expert that this audience needs to hear from. So this is what that can look like. I've written on this topic here, here, and here. And then insert any details, again, about yourself that make you perfect to address this topic. And then here's more, for more information, visit my website. Going back to that social media point that I made earlier, again, you can add your social media links here as well. You can even, I don't think it's great form to put how many followers you have. That's all self-explanatory, but you want to be willing to promote your content once it's written on their site, because that is part of the deal. They're going to give you the platform, the opportunity for exposure, and you're going to reciprocate by providing excellent content and promotion to your followers. Okay, then finally, I think this is the point that so many people miss that could make the difference. Closing the deal, make the ask. I just heard an interview. This is going to be my second mention of NPR in this webinar. I love it so much. I just heard an interview today with Elizabeth Banks on Fresh Air, and she said, "You don't get what you don't ask for." And I was like, I'm totally using that in the webinar, because that's the last point in your pitch. Make the ask, close the deal. Please let me know if I may write this article headline for, and then the website. Or please let me know if you'd be interested in booking me for an interview on, and the name of the show. I think our chat would be great fun. That's my line. You don't need to use that. Make it sound like you. But the point here is give whomever is reading this, give the editor, whoever ends up with this pitch, the call to action to contact you, to let you know if you can have the opportunity. Easy, simple, and I think that it's something that it's a good way to close because it provides a call to action, and it's the logical next step that may seem obvious, but maybe is not. So, I am going to send you a downloadable reference guide that compiles this entire Swiss cheese pitch that we just went to, with all of the holes for you to put your information in, with the other resources I've mentioned on this call. And that will be included with the replay. Now, let me take a sip of water. Okay, thank you for that. Okay, so before we close, I want to take you through a compilation of the 5 do's for pitching. But first, I want to let you know that, as I said earlier, the easiest way to get comfortable pitching is by getting really comfortable owning your expertise and your message. It's really hard to put yourself out there if you don't really know what you stand for, or if you have a website that you're not super proud of and confident directing people to. So I'm going to come back on screen here. Let's see. Okay. There we go. Hi. I'll go back to the screen share in a second. But I just wanted to come back on to let you know about Create Content That Connects. That's my course that I developed, and it's a roadmap for creating content for your website, both static, like your about pages and your services, which I call static content, but it's really always going to be kind of evolving as you evolve. But this is like your real stake in the ground kind of content. And also your more dynamic content, your blog, your newsletter, what you should write on social media. These are all things that the course covers. There's also a whole bonus tutorial on pitching and guest posting. There's also bonus tutorials on starting a podcast and on how to set up your website, what elements from a strategic perspective from a web designer, what elements, what colors, what fonts are most resonant with the viewing public. So there's a lot of great information in there. And I wanted to make a special offer to anyone that is listening to this webinar. If you sign up for Create Content That Connects in the next, I think it's 36 hours or so, by Friday, May 22nd at midnight Eastern time, I'm going to offer you a free 30-minute pitching strategy session with me, where we will go over starting your media list, so coming up with outlets where to pitch, coming up with story ideas that are right for you and right for those outlets, and then writing the pitches so that they are, gonna make an impact with the editors that you send them to. But this is gonna be really valuable because, like I said, I used to do this day in and day out. People would come to me and say, this is my message, this is who my spokesperson is, like, let's make a story. And I can do that for you. I can help you. So let's get on the phone. Let's talk about what your message is. Let's talk about what stories we can cull from that message, and let's get your name out there. Okay. So again, that is May 22nd. Sign up before midnight Eastern time. And in the email where the last email you get when you sign up, there will be a link to schedule that 30-minute pitching strategy session with me. And I'm really looking forward to this. So definitely take me up on it. It's my jam. Let's do this, okay? All right, so let me go back to the screen share so that we can go through our do's again. I want to keep it positive here. It's so crazy how it does that. Apparently that's how the Mac screen shares. All right, so let's finish it up. So once more, this is the deal. Sign up for Create Content That Connects by May 22nd and get a free 30-minute pitch strategy call with me. And that is createcontentthatconnects.com. I should have said that before, createcontentthatconnects.com. Okay, now finally, our pitching do's. Show that you know the audience. Show why you are a valuable resource to that audience. Make it personal if possible. Make an offer and ask for a response. These are the key elements to your pitch. And if you incorporate all of these, I think that you will have a very strong pitch and you will find the results that you're looking for in terms of response rate from these entities. And the very last thing that's not even up there, and probably the most important, add your own personality to the communication. And try to do this without making it more content heavy. So be brief. Brief, useful, entertaining, informative pitches will work every time. And so I came back to the screen share for that, but I want to come back on screen to tell you the very last thing. Let's stop the screen share. Okay, we're back. I just wanted to reiterate to you that the thing that you're really good at is the thing that people need you for. It's the thing that people come to you and say, hey, you've helped me with this in the past. Can you give me 2 minutes of your time and help me with this again? Or it's the thing that you feel really great after having helped a friend or a client with. That thing that you're really good at, more people need to know about it. So if you have any reservations about putting yourself out there, remember this is your thing. Like, there's no reason to be nervous about putting yourself out there to communicate your message, to talk your talk, because this is what you are meant to be doing and meant to be communicating. So the thing that you're really good at may not seem like this big epiphany world changer, but the fact that you're good at it is, and people need to hear from you. So don't hesitate, put yourself out there. You have all the tools and your work will help people. And I think that's really primarily what we have to keep in mind, is that above all, we are being helpful and providing useful information that is going to improve someone's experience, whether it's in the financial world, whether it's in their day-to-day life, whether it's as a mom, whether it's as a business owner. We are being of service. So that should be your motivation in putting yourself out there. I bid you Godspeed and good luck. And again, tweet at me with any questions. Send me pitches that have worked. I love to see that. Send me articles that result from those pitches, and let's do this. The world needs more people like us that are genuinely putting ourselves out there. So good luck, and stay in touch on all of this. Now, if there's anyone that wants to pop in with a question, I will be here for a couple more minutes. So definitely pop in, and I would be more than happy to answer. And if you don't want to pop in, if you just want to tweet at me your question or email me your question, I'm totally open to that as well. I'm not seeing any questions popping up. I should have had some pre-seeded questions, right? Like they do in the political debates. I'll just wait another minute to see if anyone pops up with a question, and then we will close out. Like dancing to the music in my head. That's what people do when it's awkward. All right, I'm gonna call it. No questions. I hope everything was crystal clear. And if there are any questions, again, that come up after we close, then by all means, tweet at me at Amanda Berlin or email me amanda@amandaberlin.com. And I look forward to connecting. Good luck, and I will see you soon.